Today I'm going to try something different. As I am preparing for the New York Classical Club's recitation competition, where all of the university level students and myself as an honorary student will be performing Horace 1-9 from the Odes. That is, Vides ut alta stet nivec handidum soracte. As I prepare for this competition, today I'm going to be working through the argument of this poem, something I've been trying to come to terms with for quite some time. The alchaic meter will, of course, be a central feature of my practice and declamation, but today we're going to focus on the argument, which I find complicated in its own right, famous as it is. This poem is famous partly because it has such a lovely and memorable setting, in a country villa overlooking a snowy mountainside. Vides ut alta stet nivec handidum soracte. Holy shit, Thalliarchus. Look at all that snow on Mount Soracte. There's so much of it, the trees can hardly sustain the weight of it. Nec iam sustineant onus silvae laborantes geluque flumina constituerint acuto. There's so much of it that the forests are laboring under its weight, and the rivers stand still with biting ice. Dissolve frigus, ligna super foco largere ponens. Dissolve the cold, thaw the chill. With logs piled high on the fire, in here we will be warm, storm or no storm. Atque benignius. Generously, very generously, more generously, de prome quadrim mum sabina o Thalliarche merum diota. Keep it coming, the wine, the good wine, the old vintage wine, the 4-year vintage wine, from the Sabine Greek vessel, the diota. Why do we specify that it is a Greek vessel? Well, because we are working in the symposiastic tradition, where friends get together and, guarded from the storms and stresses of life by the warmth of friendship and of wine, frequently poured by a beautiful Greek youth such as our Thalliarchus here, one revels in the time that one has in good company on earth. A famous Horatian theme, a famous poetic theme. Permitte divis cetera, quisimo stravere ventos aequore fervido de proeliantis, nec cypressi, nec veteres agitantur orni. Stoke the fire, pour the wine, leave the rest to the gods, who as soon as they have spread apart or becalmed, depending on how you translate stravere, to me one of the more beguiling words in the poem, the ventos de proeliantis, the winds doing battle over the fervido aequore, the boiling sea, the rolling, tossing, violent waves. As soon as the gods have stilled these violent storms, no longer shall the cypresses, no longer shall the ancient ash be shaken. Now, as soon as I hear veteres orni, as soon as I hear vetus, old, we're reminded that this is a poem of middle age. This is, and we'll see as we go on, this is an older man speaking to a younger companion in the aforementioned Greek tradition, a nice Greek boy with a nice Greek name, Thalliarchus, and saying to him, well, first of all, saying, "Here, bring in the good pleasure, bring in the goodly pleasures, pour the wine," per tradition, and then saying, "Okay, now we sit back and be happy while the gods take care of the rest. As soon as they have calmed the storms at sea, no longer shall the trees on land be shaken." Continuing in that vein, and into familiar Horatian territory, you'll recognize the carpe diem motif. That phrase is from a different poem, where carpe actually means not so much seize as in grab. Carpe means seize as in pluck, harvest, the fruit that is the day. Here it's expressed a little differently. Quid sit futurum cras fuge quaereret quem force dierum cumque dabit lucro ad pone. Nec dulcis amoris sperne puer neque tu Horeas, doneque renti canities abest morosa. What will happen tomorrow? Refrain from asking. Fugere, flee from asking. Hold back. And instead, quem forstierum dabit? What chance shall give you of days, what you shall have of days, count as profit. Appone lucro. This is actuarial language. To perhaps soften it a bit, one might say, count each day a gift. Existential profit. And now we pivot to the imagined future of Thalliarchus, where we, Horace, are giving advice. Nec dulcis amores sperne puer neque tu Horeas. Don't pass up a chance for sweet loves. Don't miss a dance. Doneque renti canities abest morosa. Canities. That's gray. That's gray hairs. I have a few. I'm a bit proud of them, actually. While morose, grave, somber, custom-laden is actually what that word means. And also with this echo of perhaps moribundity. While somber, while grave, while stodgy, old age, best is away, is far off from youth, virenti. Well then what? Nunc. Now, an ironic nunc, because actually now we are not in Rome in the springtime, as we're about to see. We are in the winter in a villa outside of Rome. But in imagination, it is nunc et campus et areae. Lenesque sub noctem sussurri composita repetantur horra. Now, in the campus martius, now in the courtyards, in the open areas, in the city. Sub noctem at night at dusk sussurri lenesque. You will hear soft whispers at dusk, at the appointed hour, composita hora. Appointed by whom? Appointed by lovers seeking a rendezvous. Nunc et latentis proditur intimo gratus puellae risus ab angulo. Now you will hear the pleasant gratus risus proditur. You will hear the pleasant laughter, puellae latentis, of a girl betray itself, proditur. Ab angulo intimo, from an intimate, from a hidden corner. Pignusque de reptum lacertis, aut digito male pertinaci. A conclusion I have yet to make sense of as closure, I must confess. Pignus this is a pignus amoris, a love token. This is a tradition, a trope that comes up elsewhere in Latin elegy, elsewhere in Latin poetry, wherein a trinket of little material value becomes a pawn in a game of love. With this ring, take my love, take my friendship. Oh, now we are lovers. De reptum lacertis aut digito male pertinaci. A little resisting, a scarcely resisting finger or arm. So, oh no, don't take my ring. Oh no, are we in a love affair now? Why, yes, girl hiding while laughing, giggling pleasantly in a corner. Now you are in relation to Thalliarchus. So, what does it mean to have Horace giving this advice to this young companion in this setting, in this way? To my mind, it is not enough to see this as advice. Wherefore this advice? Well, one way of reading this that commentators have occasionally adopted is that Horace is perhaps comforting Thalliarchus, that he must leave the side of Horace. And why? Well, because at some point the beautiful Greek boy gets older. He becomes a Greek youth, because he develops a beard. And at that point, he can no longer be the Eromenos. He can no longer be your Greek boy. And so, it is quite possible that we have here a situation in which Horace is saying, cheer up, lad. For you out there, there is girls. You're getting a little bristly, and you're turning into a Roman youth. And the time is right that you should go out and get a girlfriend, and I shall get a fresh-faced new Thalliarchus. Cheers. Good reading. I buy it. It seems Horatian, seems appropriate, but there's something else that pulls at my heartstrings, perhaps more than that reading, and that is the thought that Horace, whether or not he's comforting Thalliarchus, is also comforting someone else, someone who knows about Silvae laborantes, trees that can barely sustain their onus, who knows what it means when the veteres orni agitantur, what it means to be an old tree buffeted by the storms at sea. So that when we say, permite divis cetera, quisimo strawere ventos aequore fervidos e proeviantis, nec cypresi, nec veteres agitantur orni, are we not perhaps saying, not just having poured the wine, having stoked the fire, Thalliarchus, sit down and have a good time, are we not also saying, trust old Horace. When the gods have eased the storm, so too shall the shaking of the trees, the cypresses, and the ashes being among the tallest in a Roman forest, and therefore among the most severely buffeted. No longer shall the venerable trees be shaken. Peace. Quid sit futurum cras, fuge quaere retquem forstierum cumque dabit lucro appone. Don't ask what will happen tomorrow. Take every day as it comes for the gift that it is. Trust to the gods. Be content, old Horace. That is the underlayer that to me gives this poem some of its richness and makes sense of those storms at sea. Whether they be becalmed, that meaning of sternera, or whether they be scattered, that meaning, strewn, that meaning of sternera. That's something I am still trying to figure out, but this at least helps me understand why those storms are even in this poem. Why is our journey from the wintry countryside outside of Rome to the dusk sunset urban spring telescoped through the scene of the storm at sea and the depopulated forests? Different forests, it seems, from those on Soracte, nevertheless an echo of our first image of trees bearing up under the weather. Perhaps just barely. And to me, that's part of why it seems to me that we are calming not just a young sapling, but the buffeting of an older wood, of an older specimen, of the middle-aged poet himself, who in this poem is saying he's saying the right things to his young friend. Go out and live your life. Go out and have fun. Perhaps Horace would be just as happy if his amenable young companion would stay forever, would shepherd him to the very grave. But that would not be the right thing to ask. That would not be the right thing to say. And so we say the right thing, Horace does. And we try to mean